Merhaba arkadaşlar, Vampir'e kaldığımız yerden devam ediyoruz. Niye alamıyoruz?
Sorry, sir, no admittance. Didn't you hear me?
There's safer places to be than here.
It's locked, all right.
Good evening, Doctor.
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
Have you any news of Nurse Crane?
It appears the dispensary is now a major...
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Good evening, Christina.
Change your mind, Mr. Reed?
What do you know about Nurse Crane?
Two girls I know went to the dispensary yesterday.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
The disease upon us is not an accident of nature, but the punishment.
This is no place for a gentleman.
cannot enter.
Look lively! It's on to us!
I order you to stand back!
We'll crush this beast! Back, demon! No evil! We do. Over there! Get their weapons ready! We found one! The beast must die! I'll rest for the weapon! We have a killer!
Şerefsiz ya. Önce sığınağa mı gitsek?
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way.
Yanlış yapıyor genç adam.
Pain
Yanlış
and
yapıyor.
suffering in this world.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired.
Speaking of which... What can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come in.
You have a roof over your head, a place to call home. Many people here are not as lucky, you know.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
Allah Allah.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and...
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Have you any recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Nobody dares to enter the dispensary now. Rumours say the nurse has gone.
Goodbye, young.
Even my...
So,
I'm not
do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do.
You'll feel better with this.
I'm not sure I'm happy with it.
Goodbye, young man.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
You again?
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Have you recently...
I saw her wandering the streets. Yesterday, I think. She didn't recognize me. People say she's lost it.
Goodbye.
He's mine! I shall fear no evil!
safer places to be than here.
This is not the place for you, sir.
Stop right now! Over there! There's one of them vermin!
Hey, boys! There's someone out here!
Remorse and pain are precious when binding you to the earth. You. I remember you. Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
Riddles and rhymes. You took my life. Now you insult my mind.
Be stilled, my child. I bring understanding.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one. The flower's dying. It needs water. It's locked.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, Mccullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned.
Gözlerimiz ne olmuş lan öyle kıpkırmızı
By the
olmuş.
sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned the dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Kimdi lan o?
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please, I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Do you really believe they would come for us here? In such a public venue?
Mccullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind,
I'd be delighted.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey Mccullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt or irrational.
It's hard to explain and
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater...
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked me...
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Prewen come to hear of this?
Mccullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and
Thank you. Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but...
Do you require medical assistance, nurse?
I will be fine, as soon as I can get some sleep.
Nurse, you won't be able to help people.
I'll try,
Goodbye, nurse. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the...
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, nurse.
Thank you, Doc.
Goodbye, nurse. Good evening, Doctor.
Have you seen any suspicious activity?
No more than you.
This is no laughing matter, Dr. Reed. A patient...
Can you tell me anything about...
I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reed.
My fault? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just...
Why are you blaming yourself for the death of Mr. Fiddick?
It is our fault.
Mr. Fiddick has stayed longer than needed here because Dr. Ackroyd and I could not agree.
This argument has nothing to do with his death. He was murdered.
But if we had performed the surgery sooner, he would have left the hospital and avoided this.
What is troubling you so much, Doctor?
I had to meet face to face with the son and daughter of Mr. Fiddick this afternoon. Their eyes. I could barely stand before
this difficult task is...
I know. As I also know they'll never get the answer to the question they daren't ask.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only...
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against...
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication.
Questions remain about our...
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
I would have been confused if anyone other than you had asked that question, Dr. Reed. But your help is welcomed.
I will see you... Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Do you require
Do you know?
Despite what you
Well, at least your reputation seems well...
Goodbye. Good evening, Mr.
I'm okay.
What can...
I had shot.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a...
My mother just wants the best for me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured, you're in good hands.
It's not me you have to...
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid...
You are not...
And you have...
I have to...
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Dr. Ackroyd. I see that you are as friendly as ever.
Are you really going to ask me why? That would just be more evidence of your selfishness.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course you can't say the same about me, since I have not worked...
You are going to change your tone with me, my dear colleague, and very quickly.
I don't think so. Perhaps you think yourself protected by Dr. Swansea, but I am still a free man, and I will speak to you the way I...
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea.
Carelessness?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments.
Modern medical methods were created...
How do you think these recent events will...
I am not blind. There is something strange about you and Dr. Swansea. One...
Don't you think the epidemic is enough to deal with, without wasting time on insults and suspicions?
Yes, the epidemic. Convenient, isn't it? Just like the war, really. Hundreds are already died.
You are troubled by the death of your patient. I understand. It is something that haunts everybody.
Harvey Fiddick died inside these walls.
Do you need my assistance?
Don't be ridiculous. I'm capable of...
Then you are lucky that I have taken the time to do so. Consider it a gesture of solidarity between professionals.
I wish this hospital could have received as much attention from you, Dr. Reed. We do not see you in surgery very often.
Thank you for your time.
I have wasted too much energy for so little result.
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil with the fever.
What on earth happened here?
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage.
Would you care to partake in this meal with me?
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me everywhere.
Temptation surrounds us.
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know.
Is this a sign? A hand...
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just...
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not...
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Thank you, my lady.
Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that cabin.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to say...
I'd like...
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that cabin.
Get them weapons ready! We found one! Eat this! Leech spotted! Watch out, boys! Let's pin it down! Shit! Get them weapons ready! Filthy fucking beast!
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Fear no evil! We do the Lord's work here! Shit, that leech is fast! Best be on your way home.
This is no place for you, sir. I said go back home. This one's mine.
It's a leech! Get it!
Put an end to you! Die, beast! Send you back to the bloody grave!
Over there! There's one of them vermin!
This is Braille. I need someone who can read this.
Under control, more or less.
Don't forget to keep an eye out for this garden. Something
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Reed, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Are you some kind of vigilante patrolling these streets at night?
Something like that, but the police aren't in charge here. We are, see?
So you're a concerned criminal, is that it?
Using funny jokes about me and my boys, are you? Fuck. You must have some balls.
I saw many men like you during the war, Mr. Digby. Greedy little cockroaches who feed on despair.
I could kill you for saying that. But, nah. You've been a soldier. I can respect that.
So, tell me about...
What? Have you got a death wish?
Well, yes. You seem so proud...
Oi! I'm the boss, all right? The wet boot...
What can you tell me?
Things ain't that bad, thanks to us. We give people what they need, and we control this borough.
Well, you're not doing a very good job. People are still dying here like everyone else.
Yeah, well, we can't be everywhere. And Edwina says if we can find more guns, we could be...
More efficient? Really?
Incredible.
Ya seni ben öldüreceğim galiba da şimdi değil.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Hey bayan.
Good evening, miss. I am Dr. Reed. May I ask you a few questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
As I just told you, I'm a doctor. From the Pembroke Hospital, actually.
The Pembroke Hospital, you say? I don't have any money for you leeches.
I'm not here for charity, Miss...
Miss Edwina Cox. So what do you want then?
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he...
Yes, he was. But...
You don't say. Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
I'm not interested in a career in the criminal underworld.
Fair enough. Stay away from us then, if you don't want to get hurt or worse.
Since my return from the war, I don't feel that concerned by threats, knives, or even bullets.
That's exactly what that stupid trade unionist claimed after he attacked one of us. Booth and I reminded him a bullet beats words every time.
You're quite blunt, aren't you?
I like people who know what they want and say what they think. This is a time of great opportunity for those red...
You still use your husband's name, Edwina. Why is that?
Why shouldn't I? He may be a bloody bastard, but I'm still his wife and his name means something round here.
Are you aware of what happened to him?
Yes. I'm sure he fought till the end and looked...
What can you tell me about this part of town?
You can't trust anyone around here. As soon as you lower your guard, you can be sure some arsehole...
Really? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive?
Bastards, all of them. This region.
You sound like you're thinking of somebody in particular.
Take the grave diggers of Southwark. They must pay me every week, but it looks like they forgot who gave them permission to steal from the dead.
Looting corpses in a mass grave.
Whatever. Hey, since you're a doctor and all, maybe you can access that forbidden area and remind those...
Booth Digby looks at you with love-struck eyes. Tell me, Edwina, is the feeling mutual?
You have no idea how refreshing it can be for a woman to receive all the pleasure she needs. For once.
I'll take your word for it.
What is it, Doctor? A woman's not supposed to talk about these things.
I'm not that easily shocked, Miss Cox. You can speak freely about your lover if you so wish.
The poor bastard is good to me, if you must know. He makes me feel good.
So you're just like any other couple, after all?
Yeah, we're so ordinary that I'd put a bullet in his head if he ever cheated on me.
Tell me about the man you and Booth killed, Edwina.
The bastard killed one of us and received retribution. There's nothing else to say.
What happened exactly?
I don't know and I don't care.
So you have no idea what really happened, but you executed him anyway.
No one messes with the wet boot boys, Doc.
And your conscience is clear. You kill without hesitation.
Violence is an efficient tool, Doctor.
So you decide who lives and who dies.
Yes, Doctor. Just like...
Can I see...
As long as you have money. Pleasure, sir. Been a while. Seen any news?
You again. What do you want?
Tell me about the man you killed, Booth. What happened?
One of us had been killed, so we had to retaliate. That's the whole story.
There has to be more to it than that.
No, really. One of us got killed, so the killer had to die. That's how things have always been done round here. No one.
Are you so heartless that you could pull the trigger and kill someone without even blinking?
Have you looked around recently? Do you really think one more body will make a difference?
Do you know Edwina suspects you to be unfaithful?
Edwina's the one who asked to be called Mrs. Cox, even though Clay had...
You have not answered.
She's a passionate woman. I've no doubt she'll shoot me down if I ever betray her, but that's not going to happen. I love her as she is.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Mark my word, this.
Not a drop of blood left in his body. This is the work of a vampire.
I'm a tracker of these creatures. A vampire hunter.
Good evening, sir.
Whatever.
Don't you recognize me? We met a few nights ago.
Don't take it personally. I spent a lot of energy forgetting what I did the night before.
Yes, you had definitely drunk too much.
I'm Dyson Delaney. I'll try.
Monster with daggers for teeth and icy claws. He comes
What do you do for it?
I drink.
and vanishes.
Why do you drink so much?
Maybe it's because I prefer dying slowly. Death can be so...
You sound very sad.
That's because I...
Don't you work?
I'd love to, but I don't have the time.
Is there anything in particular that you like about this part of town? Except for the cheap drinks, I mean.
How dare you say such a thing?
No reason at all to rejoice, then? Life is hopeless and then we die, is that it?
Yep.
All right. Go on.
A few years ago, when I believed a resolute man could change things around here for good, a tragedy occurred nearby.
What kind of tragedy?
It was a bomb. Bomb that exploded in killed many people.
You lost people you loved that day, didn't you?
I've lost everything. But you know what the worst part is? I don't even remember where it happened. I've drunk so much to forget it. And now I can't remember where it was.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Is there anything in particular that you...
How dare you?
Why are you...
Cynicism is the polite way to...
No reason at...
Let me tell you.
Another... Surely you must have had dreams and...
Sure. I wanted things to change. To really change. And to change for good. The bigger the dream, the harder the fall.
Sounds like you were an idealist.
No, sir.
Do you really think there was... Oh, is that bad?
No, I believe we all can choose.
I want to know more about your...
I'm still an anarchist, Doctor. Make no mistake.
Do you still see your comrade?
No. I hope they'll come to share my point of view one day. I'll raise my glass at...
Do you believe in...
I do not believe in much anymore, Doctor. But I'll admit I like your idea of peaceful chat.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean...
I really don't know. I heard he'd been...
Who could tell me then?
About the sad saint.
Inebriation aside...
Yes.
I will... Goodbye.
Good evening, sir. Have you witnessed any suspicious activity or strange events recently?
And what do you define as a strange event? More to the point, who are you?
My name is Ichabod Throgmorton, vampire hunter extraordinaire and warden of the East End.
A vampire hunter?
I know what you're thinking. I'm just another lunatic howling at the moon, but I'm not. The bloodsuckers exist.
Mr. Throgmorton, I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'd like to hear more about these.
A man of science? Where?
What can you tell me about this neighborhood?
Did you hear about what happened to Jack Gillingham? Poor boy. It's a shame I wasn't around to protect him.
It's impossible to protect everyone.
But it's my duty. I am convinced Jack Gillingham was...
So...
I patrol late at night, investigating anything
Can I help in any way?
Actually, yes. I plan to put up posters.
Are you asking me to paste
If you wouldn't mind.
How do you identify a vampire?
It's simple, really. They can't stand daylight. They're afraid of garlic and holy symbols. They also cannot enter a house without being invited.
Have you ever killed one of these creatures? Yourself, I mean.
Of course I have.
Have you heard of the Guard of Priwen?
Of course. They're dedicated hunters. A little militant for my taste, but they do let anyone join.
Were you ever tempted to join the Guard yourself?
I did think about it, but I'm more of a silent hunter. They're more of a sanitary
So you hunt alone? That sounds risky.
Vampires are just like every other predator.
I'm looking for Sean Hampton. Can you help me, Mr. Throgmorton?
The sad saint? He should be at his night asylum at this hour. But I cannot tell you how to find it, sorry.
Really? Why is that?
It's nothing personal, Doctor. I'm sure your intentions are good, but people who sleep there, they have plenty of reasons to hide.
Maybe at least you can tell me who could help me find him.
Tell you what, go and chat with Tom Watts. He's a bartender and good judge of character. If he talks to you...
I could make you tell me, but I respect your refusal. You really believe Sean is a saint?
All I will say is this. Gossip has it that when he was a child, he was molested. By a priest of all people.
Goodbye.
So few clients. What with the epidemic, no one dares go outside.
Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight? Back to the docks, are we?
You remember me then?
Of course I do. You're that man who seemed so lost when he entered my bar a few nights ago.
Thank you for your hospitality. I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way.
I'm still Tom Watts.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
It's not that bad. Thanks to people like the sad saint of the East End.
Who?
Sean Hampton, our own private holy figure. Few are foolish enough to make peace with the gangs. Sean is...
How is it you can keep this place open? This part of town doesn't seem particularly safe.
Well, since everybody needs a drink, my pub is considered neutral ground by most groups.
I see. So you get pressure from all sides about how this place should be run, do you?
Or something like that. Nothing that a few wise words and a bottle of...
You're something of a figurehead around here.
I'm only pouring alcohol for everyone to forget their troubles. Sean Hampton is the one giving them long-term...
Since I'm here...
Well, perhaps, Doctor. Peace partly depends on...
How could a physician help you in this matter?
I have a small warehouse just past the quarantine line. Perhaps, with you being a doctor, you could go there and come back.
Doctors aren't immune to disease, you know. Very well. Show me where it is. I'll see.
Oh, thank you, sir. Here's the key to get in. You're about to save many dry throats.
Tom, I need to find Sean Hampton as quickly as possible. I've been told you could help me.
I heard the sad saint was recovering at Pembroke Hospital.
The important thing...
Why not try his night asylum? He takes care of those who need a meal or a roof.
Where is it?
It's in an old warehouse, northwest of here. Just follow the bank to the west and go north.
I believe he returned to his...
Oh, I bet you're right. Sean can't help but worry about the poor and sick. Oh, I guess it has...
Please, tell me.
Well, I don't like to gossip, but I heard that the sad saint was abandoned as a baby in front of a Catholic orphanage in Dublin.
Goodbye, man.
It's a good thing you can...
Times like these, a good drink's just as likely to cause a problem as to solve one. Cursed or not, he's just a...
Evening, miss.
Well, I never. That's a first. Customers who make that...
I'm much more myself than when we first...
Welcome back to the Turquoise Turtle then, Doctor.
What can you tell me about this?
People don't appreciate that line of questioning round here. You best be more careful with what you say, sir.
You look concerned.
This is a bad borough. Most people I know are afraid. Most locals will rob you blind, or worse. You best mind your...
If you're uncertain about your safety here, the docks might...
I got responsibilities. And it's not like I got them...
This place seems, how shall I put it, very colourful. I'm sure it has plenty of stories.
We get people of all sorts here. It's that rare place in the docks where you can have a drink without being murdered.
So this bar is neutral territory then?
Yeah. Tom's convinced this is something the locals need. No one ever draws a weapon here. That's one of the reasons...
Your boss must be quite the negotiator to force such an agreement.
Yeah. Tom's a great bloke. Mr. Hampton, who runs the night asylum, he's the only other man that's able to keep peace around here.
Excuse my curiosity, but...
Something bothering you? What, man?
Believe me, I never judge someone on...
If that's true, you'd be one of the few not to make fun of me.
I'm sorry if I worried you. I was just curious to find out if you know this part of town.
Nosy. Me dad was a safe...
Miss Cavendish, would you be willing...
You better ask Tom's.
Why not answer me directly?
We respect the privacy of our customers here, sir. Only Tom can decide who to speak to and what he'll...
Goodbye.
Another disgusting ghoul did it, don't you think?
I don't think so.
Seems like the guard of Freeman is on Sean Hampton's trail too.
All of you bloody bitches need killing!
Put an end to you! Want some Danny? Piece of shit!
Another disgusting ghoul.
There's one of them! Watch yourselves! Die! Grenade! I'll kill you! Snap it, Leech! I hear you. Crush the Leech, boys! It's on it! Die, vermin!
All of you need killing.
I'll send you to hell.
Another disgusting... There's one of them! Watch yourselves! Crush the leech, boys! What's Another disc. Easy does it, boys. We can do this, said you. That's gonna. This one's mine. Get big book. I'll send you back in a fucking train. Burn it, boys. Die, burning. All of you bloody leeches need killing. I'll kill you! Crush the leech, boy! Die, Bernie! Bloody monster! It's all you deserve.
silly!